That's like, to paraphrase Gandhi's famous quote about like, every night I go to sleep and I die, and every morning I wake up and I'm born again. Have you heard that? So it is a daily practice. So it's about not like, I want to hold on to all the good stuff and let go of all the bad stuff, you know? It's like letting go of all of it. This idea of dying, right? And then the next morning being receptive and open to receive the new day. Let's just get started rubbing your feet again today. So waking up that kidney energy. If you all remember that point, or kidney 1, it's the point in between the second and third toe underneath the ball of the foot. So just kind of waking that up a little bit. So you can use your fingertips, you can use the palms of your hands, you can use whatever feels good. And then rubbing along the inside of the foot into the heel of the foot, the entire sole of the foot, waking that up. So getting rooted right off. And then going into the Achilles, massaging through the tendons in that area, getting into the calf muscle. Anywhere you feel is tight, give it a little more attention. So those are areas that are more blocked, right? You want to keep chi circulating. So kidney channel goes up along the inner side. It's more of a yin channel. And make sure you do both sides. So starting with that underside of the foot. Into the Achilles, all the way up into the calf. And I mentioned last time, it's very important that you keep your feet alive, especially if you spend most of your day wearing shoes. And you know, in the winter when it's colder, we wear even like heavier socks, heavier, boots, things like that keep our feet even more trapped. But your wrists and your ankles are really important areas where chi circulates, where there's a lot of arteries and blood vessels and nadis and acupuncture meridians and points. So they're really important areas to keep open. So you can just do a little foot massage too while you're down there. So your yoga practice, when you do it at home, doesn't have to feel like you have to do 25 sun salutes every morning and, do like 10 postures, and you don't have to be so rigid about your practice. You can seriously sit and start just touching certain points along the body. Give yourself acupressure. Start waking up the chi, because even doing the asana practice, doing the physical practice, that's the whole point of it, right? Is to wake up the chi, is to get things moving. You can do that simply with your hands. And the days where you feel the most tired and you're like, I don't want to practice, are the days where you have to practice more, because that's what gets things moving better. Okay, so extend your legs out and just brush the hands up and down. Let's start to activate the breath a little more. So inhale through the mouth. Through the nose, and then exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. So let's just start basic butterfly. You may have practiced this a lot throughout the week. It's a really good pose to kind of start your yin practice with because it's pretty easy. It's easy to modify, it's easy to practice. You can either stay on the edge of your blanket or come down, whatever's most comfortable. I find that being on the edge of the blanket just keeps the spinal alignment a little bit easier to do.
Is it canary or butterfly?
Butterfly. So if you were diamond, you'd be out here. Yeah. So you pull your feet a little closer together. Yeah. You can keep it close or a little further out, depending. So in this variation of butterfly, though, first I want you to start rubbing kind of the beginning of the lung channel. So lung meridian starts actually in the stomach, but the first point doesn't surface until it gets to the area underneath the clavicle. So lung 1, lung 2, the first 2 points of the lung channel are about in this region under the clavicle. So you want to kind of massage that area. It might feel a little tender. Just going to both sides. Kind of giving yourself comfort, love, breath. So activating the lung meridian will help you to breathe more deeply as well. And then keeping kind of the rib cage open when you bend forward, just let your hands just softly rest down and keep that area that you just opened up with your fingers under the clavicle open. So rather than collapsing your chest, I want you to make sure you keep this region expansive. Okay? So as you come down, just relaxing head, neck, and shoulders. Remember, when you do yin style posture, your alignment looks different from when you do the traditional yoga asana. So if you were to do Baddha Konasana, you'd have much more of a refined posture. Your feet would be pulled in, your spine would be lengthened and straight. Whereas with the yin style, because you're really looking to get into that connective tissue layer, you have to relax the muscles. So you can't be so attached to the perfect alignment. It has to be a little more relaxed. So you release your neck, you release your head. Now if you have neck issues, be careful. You can always keep your head lifted. You don't have to drop your head down. If there are no issues with the neck and you just want to soften this region, then let that upper body go completely. And start with a few deep, deep breaths. Just anchoring your awareness in. Starting to really feel into your body, into the breath. Noticing where you feel resistance. And as you navigate through the landscape of your body, finding where that chi is kind of trapped, where it's not moving quite as well as it could, or where there's discomfort or pain. And then actually visualizing as you breathe the breath travel into those areas. So when you inhale, you can actually feel that region that's tight expand, fill with breath, and then when you exhale, that tension releases with the exhalation. And as you do that continuously, focus on that point or points where you feel tension, breathing in, filling it with breath, and then exhaling, letting go of the tension. You'll actually notice after several breaths that you're able to relax into that region much more. And you'll find that when you're present and when you're breathing, you will end up stretching a lot deeper in the pose than you might have anticipated or thought that you could. Although we're studying the lungs and the metal element as the second week of our practice, the lungs are really the first channel on the entire meridian, the primary meridian sequence. And the reason for that is that the lungs are connected to the breath, which is what separates us, what creates our independence. So when you're born, it's the breath that makes you independent of your mother, that allows you to create a definition for yourself in the world. And that's why the metal element is really about self-definition self-esteem, self-value. And it's also about separation. It's about purification, which is why the metal element is known as the alchemist. It's about creating purity from the impure. It's about transforming. And the virtue of metal is to be able to transform trauma, to be able to transform perfectionism, to be able to transform grief into acceptance, into a sense of presence, a sense of understanding, and to live with grace. In terms of the meridian sequence, or the way that the channel travels, the internal branch of the lungs goes down and meets with the large intestine. So the metal element, and each of these elements actually have yin and yang pairs. So the lungs are the yin pair of the metal element. The large intestine, or the colon, is the yang aspect. And the large intestine, like the lungs, has to do with our internal and external exchange with the world. So the colon helps to separate the pure from the impure and releases toxins that the body does not need to hold on to. In the same way, the breath through the lungs comes in, so pure air comes through the lungs on inhale, and through that gas exchange we let go of the impurities with our exhale. So the organs that are related to the metal element have to do with the relationship between the internal and external world. The third organ that's related to the metal element is the skin, which is the largest organ in the entire body. We say that the lungs circulate the wei qi, which is what's known as the defensive qi or energy. And the wei qi circulates on the surface of the body during the day, and then it contracts and goes inward into the kind of the area of the digestive system. It consolidates in that region at night to help us sleep and contract our energy. If the wei qi is overactive, then we end up having a lot of allergies, colds, and skin conditions. Things like itching, scratching, sensitivity to more extreme like eczema and psoriasis. So hypersensitivity is also a metal imbalance. So it's that lack of self-definition, right? So when you're not very clear about your identity, then what other people say about you affects you instantaneously. You get easily offended, you get easily defensive. Whereas metal types who have a strong metal, who are in balance, are able to define themselves clearly. So if they're insulted, if they're antagonized, they're able to kind of create boundaries around that antagonism. Take 3 more breaths here. So since the virtue of the metal element, as I described, or the lungs, is acceptance, it's being able to transform all the negative aspects into a sense of acceptance, the way that we can say, or the main aspect of the lungs of metal, is the ability to let go and to forgive. With your next inhale, come up slowly. And because you've had some time there, grab the outsides of your knees with your hands for support. Let your feet drop, let your head drop forward, and just take several moments to transition.